Almost getting ready. Sorry about it happened earlier. Not moving too well today. A lot going on. What's going on here, man? Let's see. So guys, getting ready to take a swim. I was hoping to jump in the pool real quick, but my computer's kind of messing up. Bear with me just a sec. We're going to talk about texting. You know, I manage most of my properties through text. I'm a strong believer in it for a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons is it kind of keeps everybody on point. Example with tenants and things, they're going to talk about what's the most important thing at that moment, and because a lot of times if you get on the phone and talk, it'll lead to a bunch of other stuff, and maybe you'll forget something, or maybe they'll think they told you something they didn't. Either way, in the end, they'll blame you sometimes, because they'll think you were supposed to do something that you never said you'd do. Or who knows, if you're me, maybe you did forget. I don't know. But been a long day, got a splitting headache. I tried to do a live broadcast earlier, and I saw it. It was kind of funny because I see I'm fiddling with my phone, and I couldn't really, the phone was telling me that it was dead, that you guys couldn't see me or talk to, or hear me. And so as a result, I was fiddling with the phone, and but oh, almost forgot. But yep, I got a mojito ready to go, and I took something for my headache, and it's starting to go away. I'm going to jump in this pool really quick. Don't mean to be rude, but I got to kill this headache. So I see a few more people are joining, but if there's anything you want to talk about or ask, man, it's a good time. I made another video today about, and I kind of took over and showed the finished tile work in the lake house. Showed we're stripping the walls and getting ready to texture in the 3-day deal. Oh, good, you like the barber. Hey, that's great, Tony. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's another good thing, you know, having passion for what you do. I mean, there's really nothing. That's a big perk. If you really love what you do, it's a bigger perk if you love what you do and you make money, you know, a satisfactory amount to yourself, doing what you love to do. So please ask away. I gotta jump in the pool, man. I'm dying, it's hot, and I got a headache. Give me just a second. Apologize for that. I had to cool off, man. My head's pounding, but I'm feeling better. Anyways, so yeah, the barber shop was cool. Randy's a great tenant, and like I said, you know, your tenants are assets, and your success really is shared with your tenants. If they're successful, you know, and making money and keeping their place improved and looking nice, I mean, that reflects well on you. They're taking care of the property. You know, they kind of inspire others in the same center to you know, do some of the same, you know. So it's just like you fix up your house in the neighborhood or take care of your yard, it's kind of contagious. So do the neighbors. That's a big deal. So I was going to talk a little bit about, because I don't know if you saw, I was in Washington, D.C. I took my boys there, just kind of spurred the moment. I think Friday. And anyways, we had a great time. But I was also, I'd get texts, there was problems, there was issues. I actually have one that's, it's kind of going to come to a head here, looks like. I sent it over to my attorney. Gonna maybe go to war with someone. Hate to, but, they're kind of forcing the hand, so that's what it's going to be. But with tenants, it's nice because if something breaks, AC's out. They text it to me. I send a text to one of my AC guys, say, hey, got an AC out here. Might even be one that they worked on recently or something, you never know. And then they comment back, and I'll say, you in town, what's your schedule like? And usually I'm kind of a priority because I mean fair amount of work to the AC guys that do work for me, so I think I usually get to me or turn down work from others for me. So that works out well for me and for my tenants. So I'll get a feel from them, and then I'll text again back to the tenant and the AC man together, and I'll say, okay, here's the address. There, I like to talk about the particulars. Summertime, so ACs are going out in general. If it's not cooling, but the AC is leaking or dripping, a lot of times that means the AC is working fine, but it's icing up. So what happens is the grill ices up so air can't pass through, and then it continues to freeze like a block of ice. And even though it's cooling, it's freezing and not allowing air to get through. Now I think that's an imbalance in the air, and Rick will probably comment on that. I know he's an AC guy that's watching, and in fact, anyways, but I'll kind of give them an indication of what the issue is or what the problem is. Sometimes they just need Freon, sometimes there's a leak or whatever, you never know. But what's nice about the text is, it's like, hey, my AC's not cooling, but and I'll say, is it running and not cooling, or running and leaking, or whatever, and then I'll get more particulars. I'll, further that. But the last text I'll give will be to both the tenant. Yeah, change your filters. Well, that's good too. I do change them all the time, actually. But you're right. A lot of times, tenants will pull a filter, and then they end up clogging their coil. But yeah, no, you're right. No, I try to stay on top of it. I have a crew that goes around and changes filters monthly, because just to make sure it's done. Some of the buildings I own, I pay the utilities, so obviously I have a greater stake in it. But I tell tenants that pay their own utilities, say, hey, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. Oh, good. Man, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a kind of an AC guy. I've seen every problem and paid guys like you to fix them all the time, so I've seen enough of it. But that's good to know. Is that Tang? Yeah, Tanger. Anyways, so like I say, I try to get the particulars and then bring the AC man in the text, and then I say, you guys go ahead and schedule a time when you can meet. And then I let them text back and forth, and I just watch, and then I see that it's being handled, and I don't even have to do anything else after that. There's no need for me to, chime in. I just watch and see that they're doing what they're doing, and it's being handled. And it could be a plumbing issue, it could be any issue you can imagine. But what I like about it is if you get on the phone and somebody says, yeah, my AC's out, oh, also there's a faucet dripping, and also, can you replace the ceiling tile when you're here because there's a chip or a hole or this or that? And pretty soon, it turns into a long list, and really, all they really called about was to get the air conditioner fixed because they just want to get cool. So, best thing is, have everybody just text because what'll happen is, most of that stuff will never hit the list. They'll just get to what's important, and that is, hey, we want to be cool. When can an AC guy get here? And then, of course, that's the focus of the issue. And You know, I actually once a year try to solicit tenants and say, hey, I've got my guys going around. Is there anything you need? Or is there anything, you know, give me like your little honey-do list of what maybe the husband can't do for you, you know, at your property or whatever, whomever, you know, and, you know, my guys will come over and, you know, they can touch up some paint. You know, people are sometimes break something, or, you know, toilet runs, or, you know, commercial doors. I have a lot of, you know, the spring, not springs, but they're kind of a gas spring closure that closes the door back. There's things like that that I'll come back around and where I actually solicit, hey, is anything broken? Is there anything you need? And of course that gives you better rapport with your tenants. They appreciate that you care. And you know, like at the peak of summer, like right now, man, we're running usually just trying to keep people cool, because you know you got a lot of rentals. I mean, over 100 air conditioners or whatever, a couple hundred. Man, they break. You know, you just have a lot of them. You know, you have a higher, you know, just a certain percentage of those things break and fail, and the more you got, the more chances you're going to be affected. And then there's, you know, tree cutting, keep the trees cutting back off the roof, that sort of thing. But like I say, the texting just kind of gets rid of all the, you know, just gets to the meat of it and what's important. So I'm still looking for more deals. Pretty much wrapping up. You'll see that the next video that'll probably come out, I think, is going to be the one that I shot today, and that was on the type finishing up pretty much the lake house and getting close now on the 3-day deal. I'm anxious. I'm trying to find something. I thought I had one pretty close, but it didn't happen. I don't know if anybody else has got anything going on. Love to hear about it. You know, it's funny. There's different times of the year, like right before school, things kind of go into a lull because people are putting their kids back in school, and as soon as their kids get back in school, I think the traffic gets even worse in general. Just because I think there's, I don't know, maybe there's school buses and teachers and people, there's more people on the road than usual. I don't know, but I noticed that I'll start to rent more after the school year's up. I think people don't want to deal with moving in the last month of summer, and I think a lot of it has to do with getting in that last vacation and stuff like that. Even like I just did. I just got a, you know, probably a last vacation in with my boys. So there's things like that that are kind of seasonal. Right now I've got some other side investments going. I'm developing some apps that I'm pretty excited about, and I'll share more of that stuff with you later. And then, not in this episode, but down the road when I get a little closer. But on the real estate end, you know, my eyes are wide open, and I'm, like I say, a lot of times when it's not an active time because people are preoccupied doing things with their family and that sort of thing, again, it can be a little bit of an opportunity to, you know, bird dog, look for properties, and because you have less competition on those. If you see a sign come up, you know, you get on it, you call on it. In fact, I'm guilty of this. I saw a sign come up on a property, and I was like in a hurry, and I was like, I can't do it. And I didn't turn around, and guess what? I came back the next day, and the sign wasn't there. I think somebody got on it and grabbed it. And to be honest, it was a set of about 10 properties that each are on like 3 to 5 acres. And I went back and I didn't even know which house it was because they kind of all look a little bit similar. And just big, gorgeous, giant yards, you know, just beautiful, make a beautiful estate. But anyways, I wish I'd written that sign down. I wish I'd have pulled over and got that sign. It just was a bad time. I was really running late. And again, so there's one I might have lost, and somebody else got it because they got there first. Somebody else, who knows, maybe told them, said, hey, I'll take it. Maybe they grabbed the sign and walked it to the front door and said, let's make a deal. You know, who knows? But I'm probably not going to find out. I think it's gone. But I had another interesting deal that came across my desk actually today. It was a storage outfit. It hadn't hit the MLS, and the agent that sent it to me, I guess what he had to do is he found out about it, and even then he had to kind of do like a little bit of a non-disclosure agreement, other than showing it to very interested parties like myself. He shared it with me. It was 850,000. It was about 10,000 square feet of storage, I guess. And the first thing that came to my mind is I thought, oh man, 10,000 square foot building, 850 bucks. I'll have everybody move their storage stuff, just have them just get rid of it. Have them just kill it as a storage company. And my first thought is I'll just turn this into a 10,000 square foot rental. Get some sort of tech in there, or industrial type thing. That's what I imagined. Well, when I got it and looked at it, it was very much a storage facility. I don't even think the roll-up doors were 8 feet tall, and the ceiling was probably only another 8-10 inches above that. So it really wasn't adequate. It was more like a very big shed. It wasn't satisfactory for industry, for manufacturing. Also, it didn't lend itself well for parking. It was horrible as well. But it just didn't have the ceiling height, didn't have the span. But again, that was the first thing that came to my mind as I just did the math. Hey, 10,000 square feet, small warehouse. It was mini warehouses. But sure enough, it was those crappy little mini warehouse buildings. So it was no good. And that's something I want. I really don't want to have, this thing I think had 62, they said 64, but I counted 62, but 64 bays. But I don't want to search, I don't want to have 64 people paying me $100 a month in that situation. That's one rental. I'd rather have one person paying for one building, giving me one check a month or 2 checks a month for 10,000 square feet. I don't really want 100 checks or 64 checks for $100 or $200 a month that I have to, they're late sometimes, and it's just too much busy work for me. If it was a much bigger complex, if it was like 360 bays, that would be a little different, because then you'd make it a job for someone, and you just put somebody in the place, have hours daily and lock the gate and that type of thing. And that I think could work pretty well. Which actually brings to mind, there's a guy I knew that he identified a real opportunity out in the desert. It was way out in the desert from, out in the suburbs of a California area, way out near Lancaster, California. It was so far out, I'm trying to think of what they call that area. Way out east. Anyways, there was like a little liquor store, convenience store, that was doing like grocery store volume at 7-Eleven, type prices, high convenience store prices, just making a killing. And so what he did was he went out and he built what we call a drive-through dairy in California. If you don't know what that is, some people call them, like in Texas, they'll call them like a barn, like a dairy barn. Like they'll have like almost like a whole bar, not a bar, but like a little barn that you drive through, and there's freezer and stuff on each side. Well, in California, it's more like open air, but they all come to you at one side, and it's a great place to like grab a gallon of milk, some ice cream, carton of cigarettes, case of beer. It's very, very for convenience stuff. So, in fact, those guys run out and they say, "What do you want?" You say, "Oh, I want a 6-pack of beer, a gallon of milk, and a carton of cigarettes." I don't smoke, but people do. And they'll say, they already know in their mind, okay, that'll be $11, and then they'll just round it off so that they can get your money, and boom, you're out. And it's a pretty cool business. Well, what he did is he decided to put a dairy out there, and he puts this, I call it a dairy now, I don't mean a dairy farm, I'm talking about a little drive-through convenience store that is strictly, like, you drive up to sliding glass windows, you're under a shaded, overhang, and come up, say milk, you get, and they just bring it to the door, hand it to you, you hand them the cash, and you drive away. That's what they call it, like a drive-through mart, let's say. Well, so he builds that thing, and all of a sudden, this thing is making money, like more than 200,000 a year, and just working probably 10, 12 hours a day. It wasn't a 24-hour deal by any means, and so maybe it was even making a little more than that. And so what he did is he found an old friend that could use a job, could use an opportunity, and he said, "Look, I got this thing that's making say 300,000 a year. What I'll do is I'm going to sell you half of the business." So maybe he made a determination on the value. I don't know the exact numbers, but this is pretty much the story. So he's got this thing making 300,000 a year. He figures the business, the location, everything's worth $1 million, say. And so what he does is says, "Look, I'll put you in charge of running the store. We'll split the money that it makes each year. So if it's bringing in 300,000, he's going to get 150, and this gal that he had running it, she's going to get 150. But she's going to also buy half of the store from him. So out of her 150, she's probably going to give him another 70 to buy the store. So he finances half the store, say $500,000. She's going to pay him, for 15 years or whatever the deal is. So now she's making 150 a year, but she's spending 70,000 a year of it to buy half the store from him. So now she's got a $70,000 a year job. He's got the 160, 150,000 a month, plus he's got the other 70 coming in now. So man, within a year he made a cool little deal. He's bringing in 220,000 a year, getting paid back for half. He's got somebody that's got a vested interest in making that thing maximize profit, and it's a great opportunity for that person too. Anyhow, I thought it was a pretty creative way of creating a business opportunity, but also a business that's making money, not just in real estate. Of course, there's the value of the real estate, but in business in general, which I love business. I don't love the restaurant business. I've done a business. Owned a sports bar for a while, and I don't even like to watch sports, to be quite honest. I always feel frustrated watching millionaires playing sports while I'm sitting there watching them make millions. So that's never done well for me. I played sports. I liked all that stuff, but I'm just not a big fan of watching them. But anyways, so the restaurant business, oh my gosh, that was so terrible. Everybody is trying to rip you off, and I don't mean anything against any of the previous employees that I had, because I had a lot of really good ones. But you got bartenders over pouring drinks to get a bigger, fatter tip. So they're pouring your booze. They should be pouring at about 22% of the cost of a drink. Or some people tell me they get it down to 16% of cost. In other words, that drink, whatever you charge, it only costs you 16% of that amount, because you're going to get killed on other taxes from the alcohol authorities. And so I do the math on mine. These guys are pouring 56% of cost of my drinks is the alcohol. They're pouring triples and quadruples. And what they're doing is they're pouring somebody a $4 drink, and they're getting a $5 tip for the drink they poured, because they're giving them my alcohol. Then, to make matters worse, you have people are hungry. You got all these, you got young people that are waiting tables and stuff, and some of them are hungrier than they make money, and so your food can start disappearing. So your cooks are the watchdogs of your food. They got to watch the food. If really, if I had my choice, I'd just pour booze and just watch them like a hawk. But that's what I found is the people that really are the most successful with the restaurant business is, man, they always are inside watching. Well, I'm not an indoor guy, and I'm definitely not somebody to stay inside a bar or restaurant. And but that's what they do. They got to watch. They got to measure. They got to make sure nobody's over pouring. That's why a lot of times you see them with the little pre-measured deal. Sometimes you got to just insist, yeah, you pour it. And that's what I did. And what I told these guys, I said, look, from now on, I don't want anybody's friends in here. I don't want your friends in here. I don't want anybody in here except legitimate customers. Because, and they're, oh, well, are you going to lose a lot of business if you don't let our friends come in? I said, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and take that chance. I don't want them. And what happened is the friends stopped coming in. I actually started getting more clientele coming in, because my cost of drinks, cost to pour was much less. It went down from almost overnight. It went from 56% to like 30, boom, down to about 28, which is pretty close to normal. Not quite, but it was a hell of a lot better than what it was. And I started making money. And it was all because they were just giving the booze away, and they were pouring drinks for free to friends, I believe. And so, like I said, not a fan of the business, and I have a whole much higher regard and appreciation for people that run restaurants, because it is hard. It is work, and to have a successful restaurant, I mean, you got to be on it. And not only that, then you got the people that sell you food, Cisco and other companies that supply your food to you. What I found is that you have to watch every single invoice. I'm used to people that I don't micromanage. I say, give me a bill. Well, you'll pay. To open the door, they're charging you whatever. I don't know, $10 for a couple pounds of cheese, and then all of a sudden you'll take a look, and now you're paying $40 for a couple pounds of cheese, and it's like, what? And that's the kind of thing they come in and they start. They just give you they make it look great, open the door, and then they start raising the prices on you, but far beyond, what would be reasonable or fair. And so you just find that everybody, you got, like I say, you got people working for you, overpouring, you got potentially food going out the back door, people feeding each other, cooks trading food with the bartenders for drinks, which I would allow I would always allow my bartenders at the end of the day to have a beer before they left. At the end of the day, they're in the kitchen, it's hotter than hell, it's horrible. At the end of the day, have a beer on me, no problem. And can't say that I had bartenders trading drinks for food, but I know that does happen in other places. But my bartenders were actually the guards at the gate, and I really appreciate them. And even when I closed up that company, I retained one of those cooks, and he works for me in one of my other companies now. But so it's interesting, all the different things you run into, and that's one thing I'll tell you. Being a landlord, hundreds of tenants now, I can see that there are so many ways to make money. It's unbelievable how many ways there are to make money. And just the different things. I have software companies, electronics engineers. I have a nuclear physicist. I have gyms. I've got masseuses. I've got salons of different types. I've got, there's just the barber. If you haven't seen, by the way, if you haven't seen the barber video, it's a video or two ago. You got to check it out. Randy, great tenant of mine, but also just such a passionate entrepreneur. Just loves what he does, and what a great asset. And also to the company, he loves these products. He was Suavecito. He was talking about their products. Yeah, I mean, God, they couldn't have a better spokesman for him than Randy for Suavecito. And but man, he gave me about the best shave of my life, and I need to go back actually. But he gave me a straight razor shave, and but it's really wonderful because I really do enjoy my tenants, and every once in a while, you'll have some disagreements, but it all works out. But overall, it's just a wonderful thing to see businesses prosper and grow, and and then, like I said, your success is shared, and like I said, if they're staying and paying their rent and taking care of the property, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, and because that's what you want. You always want to have as close to 100% occupancy as you can. It's almost impossible to maintain 100%. I hit 100%, but just things happen. People move into bigger spaces. Some people go out of business. Some people retire. So you're always going to have somebody fall off once in a while. But if you can always stay up in that 90, I've been staying up in like the 96% percentile pretty much most of the time, which is a really good place to be. And it seems like every time somebody moves out, I can actually get away with charging more rent because the market has been so good. Since we got a new president, everything's gotten a lot better. Stock market's gone up 4,000 points now. It's just amazing, the confidence that has been inspired. And I have other companies too that deal with import and export, and we're seeing a dramatic increase in purchases, and so we're seeing we're seeing just a lot more confidence in the market, and it's given me confidence. In fact, I bought a machine. I bought another big machine that's, I had to spend another $100,000 on another company. This is for a machine that I would never have bought if I didn't have confidence in the economy and the direction that the country's going. And I feel very good about the direction the country's going in now. And that's why I bought that. And it's like I said, it really is, they talk about trickle down. It really does trickle down because, like I say, I buy this machine. The guy that bought that machine, he's made a profit on me. It made me, I go buy tooling for that machine. Now I spend, 30, 40 grand in tooling for this machine. Now the guy that sells the tools making money, and on and on and on. It really, really, it really does go around. So it's a good thing. But what else? Has anybody got anything to share? Any questions to ask? Talk about real estate. You got questions? I'll try to answer anything I can. Not a lot of questions. Well, anyways, I think we can probably wrap it up. I didn't intend to make a video until I was driving home, and I don't know if you saw the thing earlier. I was kind of I thought it wasn't even. It said that there was no signal. When I got back, I see that there was 2 or 3 minutes of me fidgeting with the phone because I thought it wasn't recording when it was. So. What should you charge for a normal 3-bedroom home? Man, that just depends on where you're at. Alpha. I went to Idaho one time to help a buddy find a property. And I was there helping him. I helped him find a home in the 4 days that we were there. But I was so excited about the area because everything was so crazy cheap. Orofino, Idaho. And so I paid $55,000 for a beautiful 2-story duplex that was 2-bedroom. I think they were 2-bedroom, 2-bath duplexes, but really beautiful. It was a 2-story on the side of a mountain, overlooked the Orofino River. Gorgeous. $55,000. It just depends on where you're at. There's probably, there's 3-bedroom homes you can buy for less than $100,000. You go to Detroit, you can probably get them for $25,000. There's a lot of areas that have been hard hit. You go into LA, you go into parts of Texas. What used to be 180 is now, 350,000 now. It's just all over the place. You have to, and I couldn't tell you unless I know the area. So that's the key. You got to know the area. Because it's there's plenty of houses out there for sale that they're less than you could ever build them for. I mean, the cost of the home is the lot actually becomes worth nothing, because when you can buy a house for say $30,000, but if you try to build a house it costs you $80,000 just in plywood and drywall and sheetrock and insulation and wiring, then what do you got? You got a house sitting on a lot. Nobody's going to buy a lot, because why would you buy a lot to spend $80,000 to build a home when you can buy a house that's on a lot for $30,000? So, areas get depressed, things happen. That big bank fallout we had in 08 and 09, that was a mess. That was a mess. And so things like that can drastically affect an area too pretty quick. Or even, a buddy of mine, he lost his tail on, he had bought and sold so many homes in Los Angeles, and he was carrying a second trust deed on most of the homes that he'd sold. Well, they had a big earthquake, and the fireplaces cracked and broke and fell down and damaged the homes. Almost everyone was a fireplace. A friend of mine actually spent months, and that's all he did. He got $300 a fireplace for basically scooping them up, and hauling off the just the remains of the fireplace that cracked and fell down. This is about 20, 25 years ago, or whatever it was, maybe a little longer. And but my buddy that had all the second trust deeds on all these things, the homes were so badly damaged they weren't worth what was owed on the first trust deed, and so they were going back to the bank, and he couldn't take them back for what was owed on the first trust deed. So he lost a couple $1 million. So things like that can happen, but it's interesting the different things you see. I bought 80 acres with a buddy. I think I paid $320,000. Steal, such a great deal. Yeah. I'm going to come to that question for a second here in a second, but what maybe I'll go to now. I already forgot what I was going to talk about. No, I was talking about I bought 80 acres. It was a steal, fantastic deal. Planned on building, I think I was going to hopefully build 240 homes on it, and then the economy got real bad, and pretty soon it wasn't worth what we owed on it, and so we gave it back. Okay, so let me go to Hugo spin-ups. The crash affected me really badly. I mean, and good and bad. Let me explain why. So in 2008, Wachovia had just gone. I just borrowed a little over $3 million. I think I borrowed about $3.3 million from Wachovia Bank. Remember, Wachovia was everywhere, and so I borrowed that money from Wachovia, and it was based on 2.5 points over LIBOR. LIBOR kind of follows the Fed rate, so whatever the Fed is, LIBOR is usually the same. So I think it was 2 5/8, or maybe I think it was 2 5/8, and LIBOR was 3. So I was paying 2 5/8 over prime. So I was paying 5 5/8% interest on $3.3 million. Well, then the bank mess hit. Well, I just had this restaurant. I was getting ready to sell it. I just fixed it up, cleaned it up. I hadn't even opened it. I was just going to sell it. Well, now the restaurants don't have, actually, they're a very risky business. They don't have a lot of clout with banks, to be quite honest, unless it's somebody that's really proven track record. And most people don't have that. So I couldn't sell the property. I couldn't even get the property rented because those companies were hurting too with this bank bailout. Then, to make matters worse, like I said, I just got this loan on the $3.3 million. Well, now I can't sell some of the real estate I want to sell. I'm having, nobody wants it because everybody's scared. So it really shatters confidence, So now here's the good that happened. The government, in an effort to, keep things together, or the Fed, I should say, slashed the rate. So pretty soon, instead of paying 2 5/8 over 3 or whatever it was, maybe it was 3 over 2 5/8, I watched that federal rate just drop, and the LIBOR follows the federal rate, and so pretty soon it was like 0. It was like 1/8 of 1%, and so that's what it was, because my interest rate dropped 3%. So that's what it was. I think the Fed was probably at 3 1/8. I probably got it wrong by half a point, but the bottom line is the interest rate on my $3.3 million that I borrowed, my interest rate was a floating rate or a variable rate. Well, because the Fed rate dropped, my rate dropped 3%. Well, 3% of $3.3 million, that's a little over $90,000 a year in interest. So just in the interest alone, I was now saving $90,000 a year. So that was a great relief to me. But I was probably, so let's just say that's worth, $8,000 a month, right, in interest. Well, I was probably suffering $8,000 a month from other real estate deals. So they just kind of one wash the other. So that was a relief. And it wasn't long after that I had more than $500,000 in damage from hail. I had hail come through and just destroyed the roofs and air conditioners. It was funny. This hail came in just like a big narrow rectangle. And guess what? I tell you, my real estate, remember how I tell you I buy in my neighborhood and I buy in my work neighborhood and my home neighborhood? Well, that rectangle of hailstorm went right through my business neighborhood, hit everything that I owned, kept on going in a straight line, got everything in between my home and my office, everything in between that I own, and then it rolled right on through my home, even hit my own home, and just wiped everything out, and it was a devastating amount of damage. It really was. But I had insurance on everything, so that was the good news. So yeah, it was just it just seemed like things just kept getting worse. And now, to be honest, I'll be honest, I'm thrilled with the way things are going right now. I feel really good about our country. I feel really good about the economy. I think we should have already had a crash, to be honest. I think we would have had one if we didn't get the president that we got right now. But instead, we've got the stock market's gone up 4,000 points. And, I see the confidence in the other businesses that I own and hold. They're doing better. They're making more money. Let's see. Alpha's got a question. What do you think about renting off road motorcycles? Man, you got to look at the insurance on that one. I'm sure it's kind of hefty. I've rented dune buggies. Hey, Joe. Glad you're here. I've rented dune buggies, and I've had some pretty fun times in where was it? In Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I rented Razors. For me and my boys, and we just drove up old creek beds and stuff into the mountains. Those are a blast. Love the Razors. But I'm sure the insurance is pretty hefty on those. And I know that, so I really don't know. And what do we got here? Savage, how do you invest in real estate? Great video. Oh, well, man, that's a big question. The easiest way to answer that is through the videos, man. Just watch the videos. I think, the short of it is I try to buy everything under market. I don't buy it unless I can turn it and make a profit. And, if you're a retail buyer, there's tons of stuff to buy all the time. But if you're somebody that likes to buy wholesale or even below wholesale, then you need to, you just have to discipline yourself and always know. Listen, I can't pound this enough in everybody's head. There's always another deal. I get disappointed often. I think, oh man, this is great. I'm going to get this, and then, I don't get it. But, just the fact that you get close to getting to something is really great, because it means you're on the right track. And I've had some really disappointing. I had one that I'm still I don't think I'll ever get over that one. But I could have made $1 million, man, and I had this thing signed in my hands. Could have made probably $2 million, to be honest, but I just held it 18 months. But it's gone. But I've made other deals around it, not quite as good, but pretty good. But I haven't made a deal good enough that I go, oh gee, I wish that doesn't matter. But in all honesty, it wasn't that devastating. This is what you'll find out. And hopefully you get to where I'm at there, because believe me, when you've made enough money, when you a lot of times something good happens, right? And you thought, oh, that'll never happen again. And guess what? You can make anything happen again. Anything can happen again. Just do everything that you did to make the first thing happen. It's just like, if you're throwing rings on the bottles, there's impossible contests at the fair. You know what? You keep throwing, eventually you're going to get one. It's just hard. And that's kind of what this is. It's not easy. It takes perseverance. You got to be relentless, and I try to pound that all in. And let's see what I miss here. You guys are chatting? Oh, okay. So Tony, I have micro success story on a micro flip. I found Michael Kors woman's wallet, at an estate sale this weekend that I picked up for $2, and I was almost immediately able to flip it for $40. Dude, that's fantastic. I mean, think about that. Think about the numbers on that. You know what I mean? That's fantastic. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I can't even do the math, but it sounds like you made 20 times your money, like that. And you try to figure out the interest. How long would it take you to make $38 interest on $2? Take a long time. Take a many years. So, yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, that's awesome, Tony. But that's the thing. What you're doing is fantastic because, like I say, that wallet is a perfect example. And like I say, I go to the estate sales. First thing I ask about is the real estate for sale. Then I find out what I want to find out. Then I look around at all the stuff on the tables and in the garage or whatever. But yeah, that's fantastic, Tony. Congratulations, really. That's fantastic. So what else we got? I think there's one up a little ways I passed up. Yeah, on the real estate, like I said, the main thing is Joe's got some deals going now too. Or is it Joe? Did you flip something yet? I can't remember. I might be mixing you up with Chaz. Well, it was either Joe or Chaz, I know, flipped 3 lots, and now they got $600 a month coming in that they didn't have coming in before that. And Tony, just like what you did, man, it's I'm glad to hear it. And it's just, why does somebody give up something like that? What did I hear about the other day? Man, it was something really crazy. I don't know if it was a painting or something. Somebody bought at a garage sale though. Oh, what was it? Yeah, it'll come to me. But it was a similar deal. It was something that was just a fantastic deal, and they bought it and immediately flipped it for, like I said, 10, 20 times more than they paid for it. And, and there's deals like that, and that's one thing to consider too. Think about this. Right now, Craigslist is a regional marketplace, right? People that are selling on Craigslist, they expect you to come to the door and pick it up. I've made some really good deals on Craigslist. And I continue. I mean, I bought all kinds of stuff on Craigslist. And usually I go in and I go into equipment. I like equipment. I like tools. I use a lot of tools without, being an investor and, managing my own properties and, scissor lifts and different things I bought on there. And so I usually go into the equipment, and then I go, give me the most expensive, start from the, a descending amount, from the highest value down. Because that way I'm looking at the most expensive stuff, because I think that's where I'm going to make the most money, is on the most expensive stuff. And then it just keeps going down, down, down. Okay. Sold the house for $300,000. What'd you pay for it? That's what's important. What'd you pay for it? Oh man, 140. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I mean that's the beauty of real estate. I mean, you think about a deal like that. So 140,000. So you bought it for 140,000. This is what attract. I'm a numbers guy. I always have been. Everything I think about it, usually it goes right to numbers immediately. Just whatever we're talking about. Could be talking about rent. Could talk about like the money that he made on the wallet there, Tony. First thing that goes into my mind is what's the return on investment. And so even on this 140, 300,000, even if you held it for 10 years, and I don't know how long you held it, you can share if you want, but you buy something for 140, you can usually get away with putting 10, 20% down, and so now you get to borrow 90%. So you buy something, 90% of it's borrowed, and now you get the benefit of this huge asset that you got to buy with only 10% of the total value down, and now you get the benefit of the appreciation on this entire huge asset, uh, and or if you buy it under market, even better, right? So that's the thing. Oh, here we go, Joe. Yeah, I'm with you. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I bought a fire truck. I bought a fire truck. It wasn't on Craigslist, but it was on the internet. And I found and Joe does what I do. He gets on, he buys equipment, a lot of equipment. Same thing. You buy it for your own company because you're buying it for pennies on the dollar. Joe, you're carpenters, I remember. So you probably in my day as a carpenter, not so much now, but all I ever wanted was I loved just heavy, I like just good tools, good tools. Ryobi was kind of the big name back when I was messing with this stuff. Now, not so much. But and then of course Milwaukee. But of course Milwaukee's so damn heavy now. I don't think anybody loves Milwaukee unless it's a Sawzall or a bandsaw, which I still have some of those tools. But yeah, there's a great opportunity for buying tools and equipment. I bought a steel table on Craigslist, like a 10-foot by 5-foot steel table. Man, I mean, I couldn't build that thing for $1,000 if I built it myself in my shop. But I bought it. I think I paid $400 for it. But yeah, fantastic deal. And there's all kinds of stuff like that. I think I talked about the scissor lift that I bought. I think I bought it for $4,000. And those things are $20,000 brand new. It only had 200 hours on it. Let's see. Yeah, so for 7 years. Yeah, Milwaukee, yeah. Yeah, and the equipment, we're talking about the Milwaukee drills, everything's like cast. I mean, they're heavy pieces of equipment. They'll wear you out to a degree, but they don't break. They're very tough. But like say making $140,000 or $160,000, 7 years, that's a great return. So congrats on that. And Alpha said $15,000 for a 2-bedroom house 2 months ago, and now it's on the market for $50,000. I should have bought it. Well, yep. Okay. So what Alpha's talking about is exactly what I was kind of alluding to earlier, and that is, don't worry about missing a deal. Now, you're right. You should have bought it. You should have bought it, I'm sure. Well, we'll see if they sell it, right? If they sell it for 50, then you really should have bought it, for sure. But the fact that you saw a deal and you almost bought it. Now, somebody else gets it. Somebody else is going to sell it. They're going to make the 35 grand. But you were that close, right? You were that close. Now, guess what? The next time you see a deal like that, you're not going to hesitate. You're going to buy it. You're just going to buy it, and then you're going to be the one that makes that 35 grand or whatever, triples your money on it. Yeah, well, yeah, Savage, Yobo, Savage. Yeah, I mean, if you paid 140 and you didn't have to put a bunch of money in it and you sold it for 300,000, I mean, look, you made 160,000 on a property you held for 7 years. I mean, that's not bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, no. I mean, I think you did fine. I mean, if you didn't buy it, you would have made nothing, right? So it's better than renting. Did you rent, or was this a home you lived in, or was this something you bought and leased out? The main thing is like I said, did you pay cash for it or did you finance it too? Because I mean, if you financed it, I mean, it's a fantastic deal because if you borrowed 90% of the money to buy that place, and then you got the benefit of all this appreciation on borrowed money, then even better. That's what I love about real estate. I can't think of anything. Oh, you paid cash. You doubled your money in 7 years. I would like to do a little better than that in general, but you did okay. I mean, it's not bad. But you got to live somewhere. Did you live in it or not? Excuse me, I got to get another sip. It's pretty warm here. But anyways, it's a good return, man. It's fine return. You know, the main thing is you make money. You know, the thing is, what's always important is that you have your money working for you. It has to always be working for you. I tell anybody, I tell my kids, you know, you should always be worth more next month than you are today. You should always be worth more next month than you are today. Now, it doesn't always happen. I know. I've made mistakes too. But that's the kind of mentality you got to get yourself into, is that, you know, you want to always make more. There's no reason you shouldn't be declining in value. You should be going up in value. And then, of course, you want to maximize that and make it happen as quickly as you can. And I know it's not always easy, and I know it can be frustrating, and I know it can be, you know, I mean, you know, it can be tough. It can be tough. You know, life isn't always easy. But, you know, the main thing is keep your overhead low. Just keep your overhead low. You know, if you re-examine, I have to re-examine my stuff all the time, you know, because, you know, I get lackadaisical sometimes just because I can. And, you know, and a lot of people do. But all of a sudden you start, you know, adding things up, and you'll go, gee, you know, paying for a gym membership you don't go to, you know, or maybe a country club you don't go to, or maybe, you know, you got apps that you signed up for that you're still getting billed for that you don't use. I mean, I'll tell you what I'm guilty of. I love audiobooks. I'll buy books on tape, basically, but not on tape, but, you know, on my phone I listen to audiobooks. And so, so what happens is I don't get around to buying enough books, so I'm paying for a service I don't use that much, and I can't make myself read or listen enough. So I've got several books that I've only gone through 2/3 of. I probably ought to get rid of the audiobooks and just keep what I got and listen to what I haven't finished yet. But again, to me, I'm kind of wasting money. You know, it's something I don't need, and it's not doing me any good because I'm not taking advantage of it. I got all these credits for books that I haven't used, and audiobooks, that is. So always take a look at your overhead, because you know, I got a dog in my lap. Is you should just always optimize your financial situation. You know, and optimize is a good word. You know, it's kind of like when I was a cabinet maker, I was always careful about my cuts. You know, when you're cutting up cabinets, you know, you got a sheet of plywood that's 48 by 96, and then you got, you know, your bathroom cabinets, you know, anywhere from 30 to 36 inches height, and then you've got your kitchen cabinets are usually, you know, 36-inch height, and then if you got a bar cabinet, there's like 42-inch heights. So when you go to cut your material up, you're being very careful about, let's see, I got a 42-inch cut and a 36-inch cut, or maybe I can get 3 30s out of this sheet, and that gives me a piece of 6 inches, and I can use that 6-inch remainder, you know, and for a drawer or whatever, you know, some other spot. So you're basically optimizing the cuts on your panel so that you get the most pieces of wood out of that panel, so you have to buy the least amount of material to cover everything. You know, it's just like I do it all the time when I buy tile. You know, you cut it pretty close, and like I just bought some. Give you an example. This is a good example. So follow me on this with the math. I've got a bathroom shower I'm retiling, 5 feet wide, 36 inches deep. Okay, now, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Joe. So I banged out this shower specifically to be 5 foot by 36 inches. So when I go to look at my tile, what am I going to get? Well, they have rectangle tiles. The bigger the tile, usually the less work it is, because you're just covering so much more space at a time with these big tiles. So what I did is I took a look at it and I examined it. I said, oh yeah, perfect. I can buy 18-inch by 1 foot tiles. It's 8 foot tall, they're 1 foot wide. 8 of them is going to take all the way to the ceiling. There'll be a little trim cut off on the top, but the depth is 36 inches. So that's exactly 2 18-inch panels. So almost no cuts, right? And there's no cuts because those are all 18. I'll have one cut, you know, because it'll be 2 18s, and then I'll stagger them. I'll split one, but it'll be an exact split to offset it to look brick style. But again, there's no waste because I'm just cutting tiles in half, but I'm using each half to its full length. And then on the back side, so that's the 36 inches. 2 18s equal 36. So perfect. Now on the back side, it's 5 feet. Well, that's 5 feet is, you know, 2 18-inch tiles is 3 feet. Then another 18-inch tile, that's 4.5 feet. And then another 6-inch tile. And then the 1-footers ended up working out to be, the 1-foot cutoffs worked out perfectly for at the base where I have a step in. So I maximized by design. I'm thinking about my material, and that's kind of the way to think. You know, think about your money that way. And that's kind of the point I'm getting at. You optimize your panels to get every dollar you can out of the piece of plywood you buy. You know, same with when you go down and you buy your hardwood. You know, if you know you got to cut out so many 2 or 3 inch wide rips, then you don't want to buy something that's 8 inches where you're going to have 2 rips of 3 inch, and then you're going to have a narrow piece you can't use for anything. So you're going to make sure you want to keep it as close to that 9+ inches to, you know, allow for the blade width, that you're going to get all 3 rips of 3 inches wide out. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's how you need to look at your money, you know, and the things that you buy, and, you know, just everything else. You know, you don't want to spend money on things you don't use, and like I say, you don't want to have to throw stuff away. And that's kind of what you're doing. If you're paying for services and things that you don't use, I mean, you're kind of just throwing stuff away, right? You're throwing your money away. So let me get back to a question here. Somebody wrote, okay, so somebody's got, I have the potential of making $400,000 offer. The $200,000 house. I don't quite. Yo boy, I'm not understanding the question. You have the potential of making $400,000. Oh, after the $200,000. I don't know. Am I seeing offer or after here? I can't hardly read it. You have to explain to me. I mean, if you can, if I understand that you can buy a house for $200,000 and sell it for $400,000. Buy it. That's an easy one, right? So Joe, what are you working on? You got anything going right now? What's your latest deal you made on Craigslist? I've been getting on there here, looking here lately. What was I looking for? Been kind of wanting to get a, what do they call that? It's a ladder. It's kind of a special ladder. Let's see. But like, how should I do it? I need more information. It's difficult for me to tell you. It says you have the potential to make a $400,000 offer. The $200,000 house. Yeah. I can't follow you, yo boy. I'm not getting enough information here, or I'm missing something. You know, my deal is, if it's worth $400,000, you know, I mean, if I think I can turn something for sure for $400,000, I'd pay $300,000 for it. I wouldn't pay any more than that. But if I could buy it for $200,000, and, you know, I mean, I just buy it in a heartbeat, you know, and flip it for $400,000 if I could. That's just kind of a no-brainer. When you say how should you do it, I mean, you got your, you know, you've got $300,000, right? Because you just sold the other house, you paid cash for it, so you got cash. Just go buy it. I'm not sure. I say I'm not following you. I'm missing something. But it sounds like you got all the cash you need. Just go buy it. You know, that's kind of the test. You'll know. You know, for a while in California, everything was just going crazy. When the interest rates dropped a lot, everybody started buying. Everybody's kind of like, how much a month? Nobody asks, how much. They want to know how much is the payment, and that's all they cared about. And then when the interest rates dropped, people could raise, the value on their home. They could say they could take a $200,000 home and now sell it for $300,000 because people didn't care what they were paying for it. They cared what their payment was a month. And now the payment on $300,000 was now what it used to be on $200,000. And so the smart guys just flip it and sell it. Oh, hey MJ, hey, glad you joined. Ha ha. Fortunately, I don't need a bouncer on the page today like we did a couple weeks ago, and I appreciate that, by the way. That was funny. But anyways, yeah, I know you do. So have you MJ, you made any deals? Anything going on? Anything interesting? We're talking about deals. I think we lost Joe. I was asking him. Oh, dang. That's awesome, man. So you got, on an online auction, you got the property. Well, that's interesting to me. What are the terms on that auction? Is it a tax auction? Is there a redemption period? Or is it yours for sure? Wow, no redemption period. Well, that's good. Foreclosure, and the people that are inside the building, they're tenants? They pay rent, or are they going to be trouble? Well, so the people that are in the house, well, can you go talk to them? Can you make a deal? Can you ask them, look, they got to live somewhere. Chances are, if they move out, nobody else, they're not going to squat in somebody else's property. They're going to need to pay somebody rent. Is it possible you can go to them and say, hey, I'm going to let you live here, but you're going to pay me rent right now, and I'm going to be back here each month to pick it up? Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that makes sense. You got to wrap it up. But I'd wrap it up and, like I say, go ahead and close it, but immediately go to him and say, hey, listen, I don't want to throw you out, but I can't, I just paid real money for this thing. What can we do to make it work for you to stay? And you'd be surprised. You tell them, look, you're gonna have to pay rent somewhere. Can you, and whatever you think's a fair amount, then make a deal with them. But get your money, and then write a rental agreement with them, but let them stay. And maybe even give them a little bit of a break because they're there. You're not going to have to fix it up if they'll, hopefully they live in it already, so obviously it's acceptable to them as it is. Oh yeah, Randy's a kick. A lot of people like that barbershop video, and yeah, it's pretty cool. He's a really good guy, It's fun to see somebody that has so much passion for what they do. I like it. That's kind of, that's what I hope everybody has. It's, if you don't have passion for what you're doing, man, it's like I worry about my own boys. I want my boys to have a passion, and that stuff. It just kind of happens, right? I wanted to make money from day one, and I always have, like I said, I bought and sold candy when I was a little kid for profit. But it was a little bit of a necessity too. My parents didn't have money, and it wasn't the ideal times at home for me, but it wasn't terrible. I had parents that loved me. We were just broke, but but I had a passion to make money. But that was my, that's kind of broad, right? That's kind of a broad passion. Yeah, I just want to make money, It doesn't sound terrible too sometimes, but I do enjoy making a profit, and I consider when you make money, it's kind of keeping score on how right you are. You find out, am I right or am I wrong? Well, I made money. I guess I was right. In other words, you can kind of keep score of what you're doing by the money you make, right? And I have a friend of mine, oh my gosh, this guy's worked for him. He's a good guy. Maybe watching. I won't name him by name, but he gets caught up in the wrong things sometimes. He gets caught up in, and I tell them, I go, man, go to the money. You can see, what's going on. You can, you're buying big things, small things, and I'm talking physical sides. Big things, small things, and you can pretty soon you can see, yeah, you need a warehouse to hold the big things, and the big things aren't as profitable as the small things that you can stow in your closet at home. It just kind of leads to buy the small, expensive things. Don't mess with the big stuff that you're not prepared to handle anyways. And so, anyways, my point is yeah, you got to pay attention to the numbers, and you can't fool yourself. I mean, a lot of people have the pleasure of, like maybe a married couple, maybe one of them makes a ton of money, and then the other one, they pursue their passion, and they are in a business that loses $10,000-$15,000, a year. I mean, I guess you can do that if you're really passionate about it, I guess. But to me, that would not feel particularly well, because I would feel I was failing because I'm not making a profit, and therefore I'm doing something wrong, or this is not me. It wouldn't work for me because I like to make money. So let's see. It's good to have pocket change to help people get on their feet. Yes, I agree. I've helped a lot of people. I try to help more with advice. I mean, I help people that, I've helped a lot of people. Don't get me wrong, I've helped a lot of people with money. But the people I help with money, it's usually not with loans. It's usually I gift them money, to get them out of the hole, or if they got a health issue or who knows what. I gift money more than I loan money. I certainly have loaned money before too. People sometimes got something they want to get going, they need a little help, but I also know that can undermine them, to be honest. And I always give advice, because advice is really the best thing. Like if a bank turns people down, for loans, quite often, the bank's doing the right thing. The guy doesn't deserve a loan, doesn't deserve it. And sometimes, friends say, hey, can I borrow this? And, I mean, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But a lot of times what I realize is, you know what? You need to figure it out. You need to figure it out. Borrowing money is not always, to bail something out. It's not the way to go. Sometimes you gotta hit the bottom and go, okay. Because when you really hit the bottom in a business, now this is where you come back. You kind of just rise like a phoenix out of the fire, and it's like, okay, no more nonsense. This is business. What can I do? And then you really analyze your situation, and you go, okay, I'm making money doing this. I'm not making money doing that. That is out. I'm cutting that out. Because some people have to get all the way to the bottom to really get their common sense. My common sense is here all the time. But some people, they actually have to just fall into the fire and go, okay, I'm about to lose everything. I'm about to go out of business. Then they really get real. And I'm a little bit, I have some of the same revelations. I mean, at some point, when the economy's bad, and like 2009, 2008 was a good example. I mean, it's like, okay, I got to get the house in order. Boom, kill the restaurant, get rid of this, get rid of that. No more, consumptive spending. No more investing. No more loaning money to anybody else either. I got my own problems. And that'll kill off my compassion for loaning and helping people, is when I have my own money problems to deal with. And it's like something to consider with a business. When you have a business, and I've told some employees at some of my companies same thing, and that is, if the company's not doing well, the company's number one. The company is number one. You have to take care of your company. Your company. Without a company, nobody gets a check. There's no employees without a company. the company has to be healthy. The company has to make money. You can't simply have money running through your company and then pay it all out to the employees. And because if you're just doing that and the company's just sitting there and the money's just passing through, that's not going to work. The company is like an employee. The company's got to make as much money as the employees when possible, because it's the company that you know is everybody's making money and everybody's surviving on, and that company's got to build a seed. It's got to have a nest egg, so that when hard times come, it can absorb those tough times. And I've been pretty good. I always have a rainy day fund, and man, it does get hit. It does get hit when a storm comes, and it's so important that you give your company the respect. Just like when you pay your taxes, you always pay your payroll taxes. You always pay taxes. You have to pay taxes. Number one, never borrow money from your tax account. Pay your taxes. Pay your taxes, because I pay. People love me because I pay immediately. I don't stretch anything out. I mean, as fast as the bills come in, if the money's in the account, boom, pay it. Because I like to know where I stand. And I know where I stand if I'm throwing the money out to bills as fast as they come in. If there's any left, if there's any money in my bank account, then I know, hey, okay, good. That's the company's money, because all the bills are paid. And that's where you want to be. Sometimes, that account's tiny, but you have to always get to where that account is healthy. Your company, you got to take care of it. It's just like I tell people on their house, if somebody isn't paying their rent, I say, are you nuts? This is where you live. This is where your kids live. If you don't care about keeping a roof over your head, don't look to me. I don't care if you don't care. And if you're not going to pay your rent, I ain't going to pay the rent for you. I ain't paying your rent. So it's very important. You have to get your priorities straight on all that stuff, always. And let me see what we got here. Did you ever get a good deal on a house and the person selling the house backs out before you tried to buy it? I mean, sure. It happens all the time. I make an offer and somebody doesn't take it. Happens all the time. I had a painful one just over my left shoulder, and that one was one that I'll tell you the story real quick. This guy told me he was going to want to sell me the house, somebody else. I said, okay, I want to buy it. And I got tired of waiting, so I go over to him, and I go up there, and I can see him through the window. He's sleeping on his couch. And I'm like, I ain't going to wake him up. I left. A day or two passed. I get a hold of him. I said, man, I came in there and you're sleeping the other day. I didn't want to wake you up. I said, oh, let's close this deal. He goes, oh, I sold it. I go, what? And he told me he sold it. He sold this property for $110,000. And I go, are you kidding me? You told me you want to sell it to me. And I said, I come in here the other day and he goes, you should have woke me up. And I should have woke him up. So if I had woke him up, I'd have got the damn deal. But what happened was, I didn't wake him up. I waited a day, another day, and somebody slipped in there and said, hey, I want to buy it. And he said, well, I was going to sell it to Tom, but I'll sell it to you. And I was so mad. I was so mad at him. I was mad at myself more than anything. I immediately called the guy that bought the property from him. And I said, look, I heard you bought the property. I've been planning on buying this thing. He said, yeah. And he said, yeah, he told me. I said, well, man, congrats, you got it. But I said, I really want to buy it from you. I said, how about I give you $140,000 for it? He said, no, man, I really don't want to say. I go, I'll give you $150,000. He goes, no, I think I'm going to live here. I said, I'll give you $175,000 for it. I'll pay you cash for it this week. He just bought it for $110,000. He said, no, I appreciate it. He goes, but man, I'm just going to keep it. Damn it. Still hurts today. But there's always another deal. And there was other deals. But that was me not being relentless. That was me not doing my job, And I'm the guy that few deals slip by me, And so I take it really hard. When I engage in something like that, I expect to close. That's what I am. I'm a closer, and I'm a fighter, and I get it. And I got weak. Let the guy go to sleep. Let the guy sleep. I didn't bother him. I didn't do it. I didn't make it happen. I failed myself. That's what happened. So, but you know, I remember, and I try not to ever let it happen again. And it really sucks when you have an opportunity like that. You have to drive by every day, because I do. I drive by some deals. Of course, I tell you, I buy in my home neighborhood, I buy in my neighborhood, my work neighborhood. So sometimes when I've blown it on a deal, I'm reminded of it every day. I drive by and I go, ah, stupid, you know. And that happens to me, to be honest. One particular place nearby here, and another one over by my office. One I threw $1 million away, and here I threw a couple $100,000 away. That's the kind of money I could have made. So yes, that happens, and you have to make it stick and remember it, and don't forget it, and you know, and be hard on yourself. Be hard on yourself. If you're not hard on yourself, you're never going to learn anything. So be hard on yourself. It's the only way to really learn and get ahead. So let's see, Aaron the Great, what do you got? I've been working in a sheet manufacturing, I guess sheet metal, I'm guessing, for almost 2 years. I'm 22 and I'm tired of being poor. I have been looking into and learning it about real estate investing. I'm trying to learn it all. Well, Aaron, it's a good place, because I was just like you. You know, I was in a cabinet shop. You know, it doesn't matter. Sheet metal trades, you were working with your hands, me too. And, you know, you make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money in that kind of industry too. So I would just assess, you know, what you're doing. I mean, if you're a tin knocker, what I call a tin knocker, I don't know what kind of sheet metal you're doing, but, you know, you might see if you can't be self-employed doing that. And, you know, because that's a trade that you could, you know, you can get some equipment on Craigslist or whatever, and you can start, you know, probably doing some of that on your own. And so that might be a decent investment for you to do right off the bat. You know, I would consider that, number one. And then, because that'll give you freedom to look for deals and take time to find deals. And, you know, that would... that's what I would do, because you know what? I started a cabinet shop when I was 19 years old. The only reason I started, from the day that I started working at that shop when I was 17, I knew I was going to, I like this. I like what I'm doing. I want to learn how to build cabinets. And I wasn't even a full-fledged cabinet maker by any means. I've been working for a cabinet guy for 18 months when I started my own company. Building a basic box cabinets was not particularly difficult. But I learned as I went. I had a cabinet shop for 9 years, 8 months, sold the company, got good money for the company, but also I had obtained, you know, over that 9 years, 8 months of being self-employed as a cabinet maker, I had obtained well over, you know, $1 million in real estate, and so I was well on my way to being independent. And you know, I was already dang near a millionaire off the real estate investments that I made and the business that I built. So, and I was 28 then. And so, but really it was all that real estate that I'd accumulated, is that when I looked at it, my friend comes over and said, Tom, you own this? Yeah. You own that? Yeah, you own that? He goes, why are you even working anymore? You know, you don't have to. And so I realized I have an opportunity. And that's what you got to do, man. Just assess your situation and think it through. Think it through. And, you know, because you got to. It's just math. It's really simple. It's math, right? It's adding and subtracting. It's not hard. So, okay, so, oh, from Romania. Wow. Welcome. Don't know much about the market there. Is there any wine country out there in Romania? I'm going to be heading to Napa here in about, I don't know, 6 weeks. Love wine, love cabs. Money is not power. Knowledge is the real power. Yeah, I agree with that. Money's good too, though. You got to have them both. You know, they have a say, what do they say? A fool and his money are soon parted. Or they'll say, you know, One guy gets the money, one guy gets the knowledge. The guy that takes the one guy's money gets the money, and the guy that loses the money gets the knowledge. So, you have siblings. Oh, me? Yeah. Yeah, I have a sister that's younger than me, and then I have 4 more sisters besides that, and then I have a brother. So, bit of a broken family, a bit of a Brady Bunch type story. My father had 3 little girls, bang, 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 one at a time, one after the other, and he had a wife that, had some issues, let's say. So in the end, he was a 25-year-old man taking care of 3 little girls all by himself. This is my dad. Really love my dad. So proud of him. So he had my Shelby, Sandy, and Sharon. He's taking care of them. And, this is a guy that is ironing dresses. He's 25, 26 years old. He's ironing dresses at night, getting their clothes ready, laid out for school, making their lunches, and then he's still holding down a job, and he's a single dad, okay? And fortunately, his work, they appreciated him, that he was such a good man. They allowed for him to come in a little bit late so he could take his daughters to school, and, probably worked with him, obviously I wasn't even born. We're flexible with him, and they were very nice to him. And so he held that job for quite a while, and, basically he's, raised 3 kids by himself. And, man, that's tough. I can't imagine being 25, 26 years old and doing that. I mean, that is, something I've never been faced with, and, money didn't come easy to my dad. My dad was a pretty smart guy, but, he worked, he was a 9-to-5 guy. He was a 9-to-5 guy. And then my mom, I don't know quite the exact story on her, but, I mean, she had 2 kids, and single mom now, and she met my dad, they got married, and my dad, between my dad and my mom, their families, their kids, they had me and my younger sister. So I have 1 full blood, and then I have, 2 that are half, from my mom's side, and 3 more that are on my father's side. And but yeah, and they were actually, because my dad and my mom had started so much earlier with those kids, and then when they got together, then they had me and my sister. We're a good 5 years younger than the youngest, and up to 12, 13 years younger than, the oldest of the kids my dad's had. So anyways, that's it. But yeah, had a very good father, and my mom's also a very nice woman. And but my dad raised me primarily, lived with him, and we had a lot of fun. Lived in a trailer park, and I had clothes on my back, and I ate. And before that, when my parents first got divorced, it was tough times. We had welfare. I get the free lunch at school, and powdered milk at home, and macaroni and cheese, and hamburger helper, and all this horrible food. But there was people that even had it worse. My dad was unemployed. He was in aircraft, and aircraft was really in the dumps in the 70s. But I mean, I saw some tough stuff. My dad, he dated some women that were also equally in bad situations, worse actually. But I remember being over at my dad's girlfriend's house, and a woman he was just starting to see. Anyways, no fridge. They'd buy milk. They knew that milk, you could buy a half gallon of milk. That thing would just sit on the counter. Wouldn't be in the fridge. There was no fridge. And they knew that milk is good for 18 hours. So, didn't matter if it was warm. It wasn't going to kill you. You could drink it. You could have it on cereal. And, that's tough, man. That's tough times. I mean, you think about buying milk and knowing that you got to drink it within 18 hours because you don't have a fridge. You can't afford to buy one. That's tough stuff, And I never had it that tough. So, anyways, man, we've been talking for, I can barely see, but I think it's been over an hour. So we probably ought to cut it pretty soon. I'm gonna go check on my boys, and I didn't see them much today, and school's gonna start in about a week or two, and I just had a really great 3 days with my twin boys in Washington, D.C., and a really fun trip, very clean city. I recommend a great excursion for the family, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. You can do it cheap. You can get a decent hotel, it doesn't cost that much, and you can walk everywhere. They have Uber too if you need it, but everything's free. Everything's free. Everything's free. Pretty much everything's free. I went to a spy museum. I think I paid $20 a head for the tickets at the spy museum, but the space and aeronautics. There's an African American, museum. There's all these different museums of just fantastic museums, and they're all free because they're already paid for by us, the taxpayer, right? So, oh good, yep, people are wrapping up, saying goodbye. Let's see, those days with so much the information is very hard to be poor. Take action is the only thing. Yep. Okay, well anyways, everyone, thank you for your time and watching, and man, I hope everybody, I'm trying to hustle and trying to make money. I want to be worth more next week than I am today, and I hope everybody else is doing the same. And like I say, money isn't everything, but man, it sure can make things a lot easier. It can make it easier for yourself, make it easier on the people that you love and care about. So man, I hope we all can make a lot of money, and we'll just keep motivating each other. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll do it again here probably next week. So that's it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, and Flip Anything USA. Please share, subscribe, etc. And again, have a great night. We'll see you. Bye.